The Webb Schools is an amazing place full of many different people from around the world.
I've been allowed to grow in a lot of ways because of Webb.
Webb School have a very diverse and open environment.
I came to the Webb Schools because I wanted to get a good boarding experience.
I think the Webb Schools has changed me.
The Webb Schools is home.
Webb is an independent school located in Claremont, California. We have about 400 students, 250 boarders, and 150 day students. We are actually comprised of two schools, Webb School of California for boys and Vivian Webb School for girls, and that's why we call it the Webb Schools. We've always had a commitment here to having faculty who love being around high school kids, who engage with students on many different levels, and who inspire students.
The Raymond Elf Museum of Paleontology at the Webb Schools is the only paleontology museum in the world that's on a high school campus. Every student gets a chance to go out on a field trip to collect fossils. Over 90% of the fossils in our museum's collection have been found by Webb students or Webb faculty and staff. And then for those students that are interested in continuing on and expanding their experience, we take them out on field trips during the summer. And some students come and volunteer in our fossil preparation lab, cleaning dinosaur bones. Our curriculum is something that we're very proud of.
We call it like learning by design. I always think of it as almost like a college level experience, like a small liberal arts school, because students have their first 2 years taking the core classes that they take to build that foundation. And then in 11th and 12th grade, they really have opportunities to really take courses that are really exciting to them. So they can take elective courses, advanced studies courses, and AP courses.
We have amazing partnerships with local institutions. We are able to really use Los Angeles and those institutions as extended classrooms.
We also have a great weekend program that allows us to bring in different kinds of groups from off campus as well. One time we had a hypnotist come to campus. We had virtual reality. We have an improv group scheduled to come. There's also things like Web Day that allow the students to participate in different academic contests, but also athletic contests. These are opportunities that normal high school kids don't necessarily have.
I think colleges and universities are excited about graduates from the Webb Schools because they know this is a community of really bright, smart, well-prepared students that are going to be successful on their campuses.
At the heart of Webb's legacy is an honor code and an honor system that teaches kids to develop a sense of moral courage and to develop their own moral compass as they make their way in this world.
Our students leave here with not only this high-end academic preparation that is going to serve them so well wherever they go as their next step, but then they also have these deep-seated values that we believe in that never change. And I tell every student here, I want you to leave here with a work ethic and a bold vision, and to accomplish something truly notable that you can feel terrific about.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our Perspective Information Night. My name is Jamila Everett. I'm the Director of Admission and Financial Aid at the Webb Schools. Thank you for making the time to log in and learn more about our program, student life, and admission process. So we're honored to have our head of schools, Taylor Stockdale, here with us. Mr. Stockdale has been in the Webb community for just over 30 years and became the 6th head of school in 2010. For the past 10 years, under his innovative leadership, Webb has flourished in developing a rigorous academic program and partnerships with leading California institutions. Mr. Stockdale is influential in the independent school world landscape and is an active thought leader for both the California and National Independent School Association and the North American Boarding Initiative. So it's my honor to introduce Mr. Stockdale. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Dr. Everett. Well, it's great to be here tonight. Obviously, this isn't what we usually do in terms of welcoming prospective families to the campus, but you know, such is life in 2020. And it's amazing. It's been amazing to me to see the Webb community, the values, the work ethic, the resiliency, the adaptability, the creativity. All of those are values that we've really been leaning on in navigating through this kind of unfathomable scenario that the country and the world are faced right now. And we're doing great. I mean, in terms of just, you know, within the Webb community, We have a record number of applications this past year. We have a wonderful full school. We are cranking right along with our online program. And we're also preparing, of course, for that wonderful day when we can have students back in person and really resume what we refer to as the magic of Webb. And that is the relationships and the connections that come from being together. But I wanted this to give you a little bit of a history of the school and of myself and where I come from. As Jamila said, this is actually my 33rd year at Webb, and the school is in its 99th year. So I've been here a third of the life of the school. And it's been a real labor of love, and it's been a real incredibly joyful place to be a part of over this stretch of time. And I think that one of the things that I often refer to for the students when they first come here is that the values that we have so clearly identified in our mission, the values of thinking mindfully and boldly, with acting with honor and moral courage, with leading with distinction and serving with a generous heart. Those are the values that have always been a part of us. We started in 1922 with Thompson and Vivian Webb coming from Tennessee with a young family and very little money. And they had purchased a campus sight unseen with no money down. And they sought to create a world-class institution, and they did so. And I want that very work ethic and that very success for every student who comes here today. And so you can feel that sense and that spirit whenever you walk around this campus and whenever you look at the students and the faculty and the staff and the board and the alumni. It really is a world community, and it's something that we're very proud of. So I just wanted to say hello and welcome. I think we are, the only real traditional boarding school on the front porch of the greater Los Angeles area, down the street from the Claremont colleges on the Pacific Rim. And that affords us experiences and opportunities that just can't be matched anywhere else. You heard in the video, Dr. Smith referred to the institutions in the greater Los Angeles area are really an extension of our classroom, and that's something that we take very seriously. So kids get the very best of both a kind of a traditional boarding school environment, safe, full of connection, etc. And then you're on this kind of front porch of these experiences that they can only have by being in this particular location. So I just want to say again, welcome. I can't wait to meet you in person. And I know this is a rather unique way to be looking at schools. And just know that the traditions and the values and the unbounded opportunities are thriving here at Webb, and we will continue to have those thriving into our 100th year, which will be next year. So if your kids were to come in, that's the year they would come in, and then into the next 100 years and beyond. So our future is bright, and it's all because of the people. And thank you so much for taking a look at Webb. Jamila?
Thank you, Mr. Stockdale. I appreciate those words. Now I'd like to take a moment to have the members of the Webb admission team introduce themselves. We really pride ourselves on having very personalized admission experience. And as Mr. Stockdale mentioned, you'll be going through this admission journey with us. And I personally think I have the best admission team in the entire country, but we really do care, and we really want to make this experience for you really meaningful and answer all your questions. So I thought it'd be a really good idea if I could have everyone on the admission team introduce themselves to you.
Hello, my name is Jeff Stodgel. I am the Senior Associate Director of Admissions and Financial Aid. I am also the head baseball coach here at Webb. So I'm happy to meet you all tonight virtually, and I look forward to meeting you in person in the days to come. Sarah?
Hi, everybody. I'm Sarah Garcia, Associate Director of Admission. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're very excited to have you. My younger brother graduated from Webb, and I attended a boarding school overseas in England. So I am absolutely thrilled that you are considering this opportunity for your children. We cannot wait to meet you in person, as Mr. Stodgel pointed out, and until then, we're happy to connect with you online. Mr. Wolf.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm Owen Wolf. I'm the Associate Director of Admission, and I am just starting, I should say, year number 2 at Webb as a member of the Webb admission team, and I'm responsible for helping out with a lot of the events like the virtual event you've been so kind to join us for this evening. So thank you for making time for us, and good luck to all of you as you continue your journeys to Webb. Mrs. Stoddard.
Hi, my name is Amy Stoddard. I've now been in the admission office for 11 years. I help manage the application process, so if you have questions about that, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm also very proud to say that I have both a son and a daughter that graduated from Webb, so I look forward to helping all of you through this process. Welcome.
And then that's me. So my name is Alex Wiersma. I am the admission coordinator at the Webb Schools. I'm going to be one of the first people you're in contact with when you are looking into applying for our school. So I'm really happy to help with any questions that you may have along the way.
Wonderful, thank you. So I want to walk you through the schedule for tonight. We know that that everyone is very busy these days with Zoom calls and Zoom meetings. So we wanted to make this a pretty interactive and hopefully fun experience for you. So we're going to have Mr. Stodgel kind of walk us through what we think makes Webb really special. And then we're going to we have some wonderful current parents that have agreed to spend some time with you and talk through kind of their experience at Webb, and so we have plenty of time to hear their stories. And then I'll spend some time talking about our admission and financial aid process for this year and some of the changes that are in place for this cycle coming up. And then we'll end with a live Q&A, so you'll have plenty of opportunity to ask questions of me, of the admission team, and also our current parents.
Dr. Everett, I think I'm going to need to sign off because I'm going to be having a meet and greet with the new incoming Vivian Webb students. So with that, I'm going to have to say goodnight for now, but have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Yeah, great. So again, thank you for being here today, and we hope you really enjoy learning more about Webb.
Hi, this is Owen Wolf of the Webb Admission Team, inviting you to mark your calendars for Discover Webb Days. Webb's annual fall open house has gone virtual. We invite you to join us for not one, but 2 fun-filled days of exploring all the Webb experience has to offer. Attend current student and alumni panels, interact with Webb faculty in Zoom rooms, get an in-depth look at the Alf Museum, hang out with Webb families, and learn how Webb can help prepare you for your future. Join us this November to choose your own adventure, Webb style. Visit us online for information about this and other upcoming Webb virtual events. Discover Webb Days. We went with 2 because 1 wouldn't do. See you there.
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, and good night for those of you all over the world that we're speaking with. I have the unique pleasure tonight to share with you some things about Webb and to give you kind of the inside view of what's going on, and then we'll hand you off to the parents and you'll get to learn a lot about Webb. So let's first start with our single gender and what we talk about at Webb when we talk about 2 schools, 1 campus. So we're single gender. We have the Webb School of California, which was founded in 1922, which Mr. Stockdale spoke about. We also have the Vivian Webb School, which was founded in 1981. 1 is a boys' school, 1 is a girls' school. So how does that work? So we're co-ed, or we're single gender in a co-ed community. So we have 410 students, 65% are boarding, 35% are day, and about 21% of those students, boarding students, are international from all over the world. So where does this come in? When we talk about co-ed and having single gender and having in a co-ed environment. So what we find is that when we have the two students, or when we have the single gender, it allows our students we kind of meet them where they are. Boys and girls learn a little differently. So as they're coming into Webb for those first 2 years, they're able to kind of work on developing their confidence and getting their voice and learning how to use those. So then when they go into their 11th and 12th grade years, they're a little bit more mature in the classroom, and they really understand each other, and they've built some really great bonds with their classmates. Also, it gives them space to navigate the challenges, both academic and personal, having the two gender model. And it gives them a stronger sense of self as they're moving through. So both schools have traditions and ceremonies that are built on the community with all girls and all boys settings, and then it helps them build those friendships and bonds as well. You'll find that there's parallel leadership opportunities between the 2 schools. So as we have a Webb School of California president, We also have a Vivian Webb School president. They learn how to work together to help run what we call Webb as a whole, which makes it really a really unique situation to go to school. Each of our students within their classes will have an advisory. So those are made up between 6 and 8 students per advisor. They usually meet weekly, and it has a lot to do with, just see how they're doing, giving them a place to check in with an adult on campus outside of all the other adults that they're going to interact with. And this gives them, that academic and emotional support that they're going to need on a weekly basis, somebody that they feel comfortable with going to. Along with that, we have a full health services department. We have a PA on campus. We have 2 counselors, and we have nurses that are on call 24 hours a day. So over here to my left shoulder or right shoulder, you never know when you're stage left or stage right, we have the Paleontology Museum. So we have the Raymond M. Alf Museum of Paleontology right here on the middle of our campus. So in case you were wondering, the M stands for Manfred. So it's Raymond Manfred Alf. Inside this museum, which our students have complete access to, they have over 175,000 fossils. 95% of those fossils have been found by our students, faculty, or alumni here at Webb. Most recently, or our biggest find a couple of years ago, we know him as Baby Joe. He's been all over the world. He is a baby hadrosaur. We found him a couple summers ago out in, I want to say Montana. And he's one of the most complete head to tail fossils of the hadrosaur that's ever been found. So we've been able to study him, share him with the world. He's been to Tokyo and numerous museums throughout the world. So within our museum, we have peccary trips. Those peccary trips are involved, they start in 9th grade. So all of our 9th graders will go on one peccary trip for a weekend during the school year with their class. So the boys' school, the 9th grade boys will all go together. And then the 9th grade girls will all go together on a different weekend. So they're going with faculty members. They're learning how to prospect. They camp overnight for a couple nights. They cook out, sleep under the stars. But they're also learning, and they get to go, on an adventure and look for fossils. And yes, our students do find fossils on those trips. There's also trips that we do during the weekends and other weekends outside of those peccary weekends. And then we also do trips during the summer where we will go all over the country here in the US, but we also go globally. We've been to the Gobi Desert. We've been, we go to Utah and Montana, and we're looking for some new sites as we speak. So our museum is very active. We have a lot of visiting paleontologists that come and study our specimen, which gives our students a great opportunity to interact with those professionals. So speaking of that, we have a very in-depth museum research program as well. So we've had over 40 papers published with students. Nearly 100 students have been authors within those papers over the last, since 2001 when we started that program. So that's something very special on our campus that we get to share. Not all students are required to be a part of the museum, but you'll find that a lot of students will get that taste within their classes and just be able to experience something very special on our campus. So every student, during the day they have their academic days, but in the afternoons we want them to stay busy. So we have a big run of afternoon activities here at Webb. First off is our athletics department. So all of our students are required to play one sport a season. We have 3 seasons a year, so we require our students to participate on at least one team sport a year, whether it be in the fall, in the winter, or in the spring is entirely up to the student. So it'll be their opportunity to pick what that is. We have 42 teams amongst about 15 different sports. Over the years, we have over 131 league championships and 3 state titles to kind of, tout about, to brag about as we go through. In our athletic department, we have multiple levels. So we have our varsity teams, which are usually our higher end athletes. And yes, we keep score, and we keep score for a reason, because we do like to win. Your students or your athletes will be coached by some really not necessarily well known, but some very accomplished coaches, whether they have professional experience. Some of them have college experience as well. Our goal in the athletics program is to continue with your students' athletic prowess and help them develop in and potentially take that to the next level and compete in colleges. Really important. Along with, in that afternoons as well, we have a theater program, a very robust theater program. We have, we do about 2 theater productions a year. And those are One of them tends to be a musical at the end of the year, which gets a lot of notoriety and gets a lot of interest from our student body. Along with our theater and the arts, we have a dance company, we have an orchestra, we have chamber singers. All of those perform in our state-of-the-art Susan A. Nelson Performing Arts Center and Liu Chung Theater. Along with our arts, we have 2 robotics teams that compete nationally. We also have an award-winning debate team. Along with those, we have other outside of the athletics and outside of the arts, we have afternoon activities that students can participate in. Some of those listed are service, outdoor education. We have a journalism department. We have students that work on the yearbook. There's students that work in the athletic training office and help with our athletes' health and wellness. A lot of different opportunities that teachers will also bring out or make for our students in the afternoon to keep them busy. So then what we're all interested in is our advanced curriculum and our academics. First, give me a minute. We're in a virtual world, so let's go to my virtual classroom. All right, here I am. Made it to the virtual classroom. Hello, everybody. Wait a minute. I forgot something. What did I forget? Oh, doesn't really matter. Let's go on. Let's get this TV on so we can get this thing started. So let's talk about Webb academics here. So our core academic program fosters thinkers who learn and understand traditional and emerging disciplines, master skills, essentially achievement in college and beyond, and embody vital attitudes and qualities of mind, including curiosity, love of learning, and a commitment to what is right and true. So what you'll see at Webb in our first 2 years, our 9th graders will take a core curriculum that will allow them to build the foundations that they will need as they move into their 11th and 12th grade years. So in the single gender classrooms in the 9th and 10th grade, you'll see a list of classes in which they'll take to get them prepared as they move through. So in the first 2 years, you'll see they'll get their foundations of civilization and their fundamentals of composition. They'll run in a math program in which they will qualify for. They'll actually test after they're admitted to see which math program is where in our math program they will start. In science, they'll take the evolutionary biology course that also has the museum, the paleontology component in it. We offer 3 world languages. We offer Spanish, French, and Chinese, Mandarin. So students will be able to select those. If they already have a background in one of those languages, then they will be able to work with our language department to determine where they will fall on their journey in our world languages. We also offer the fine arts. Our students are in 9th grade are required to take a fine art. That could be a media arts, one of our art APs, or one of the theater arts. If they play an instrument, they could be in our Sinfonia Orchestra, or they could be in the choral and vocal training and techniques course as well. All freshmen, all 9th graders will also take a freshman seminar class. This teaches them all those important things that they need to know as a freshman and living away from home, like it's really important to wash your clothes and to take care of yourself as you're away, because mom and dad aren't there to do it for you or to tell you to do it, right? Brush your teeth. They'll need to learn how to do that all on their own. So in 10th grade, they will continue to move along that pathway for them. So in the humanities, they'll move into the American idea and the American society, past and present. They will continue on with their own math journey. So each student obviously may start at a different place. They will continue to move forward within that math. In science, we actually, in the 10th grade, we integrate physics and chemistry. So this gives our students to get all of those foundational sciences completed. So as they move into their second 2 years, in 11th and 12th grade, they'll be able to really take advantage of our AP and Advanced Studies courses. And again, they'll continue on their world language path, and then they'll continue their fine arts to get those finished and completed in those first 2 years to kind of open up their classes in the next 2 years. So as our students move into 11th and 12th grade, that's when they will start to jump into the choices, and they'll get to take those AP courses and those Advanced Studies courses. Currently, Webb offers 25 advanced placement and AP courses. Here are some of the AP courses that are offered. You'll see calculus A, B, and BC, the computer sciences. You'll see them all across the sciences, and also you'll get them in the world languages and some even in the humanities. Along with those advanced placement courses, We have our advanced studies courses. So these advanced studies courses are designed by Webb faculty, and they are vetted by the College Board, so they will get the bump in credit and the notoriety that an AP course will get. What's really special about these courses is that our teachers are developing them, and it really allows our students to pick those courses that are a passion for them, that are really important. Some of those courses you'll see here are across the board. They're in the humanities, here's in the sciences as well. So biotechnology, organic chemistry, yes, organic chemistry in high school. The computer sciences, after you make it through the APs. Some of the humanities, you'll see some creative nonfiction. Obviously, back to the sciences, you've got the anatomy, physiology, and then in the humanities as well, you got new media, culture, and communications, along with a whole list of others that your students will be able to choose from. And really cool with some of these, we have partnerships with other institutions, with other colleges. Hey, everybody loves the logo. Check these babies out. So we have some partnerships with Pomona College and Western University and Harvey Mudd College and University of California, Riverside and the Keck Graduate Institute. Lots of really cool things for your students to kind of experience and really grow that academic resume and really follow those passions that they're going to build through their time here at Webb. Well, you know, it's kind of hard being a cartoon, so that's my time here. Let's meet you back in the real world, or at least the Zoom world. All right, looks like we're back. Well, we've been through the academics. We talked about schools. We talked about our athletics program and all the activities. In this short time, believe it or not, we could probably sit here for hours and hours to talk about all the great things that happen here at Webb. But as they're going through what's important, what's the next step, right? So we've got our college guidance. So as we talk about college guidance, your students will have access to a college guidance department. It's a full department. It isn't a teacher that's going to help them navigate the process of college with all the competitiveness that's out there right now. They have a full department. We have a director of college guidance, and he has a full staff that's going to work with your students and getting them prepared from the first year that they come into Webb. So in the 9th grade year, they'll introduce themselves. They'll let them know, you know, they'll let your students know the importance of making sure that we're doing the right things and taking the right classes. And yes, colleges look at your 9th grade grades just as much as they'll look at your 10th and 11th grade grades and the importance of that. And then as your students work their way through their 4 years at Webb, the college guidance department will work with them to get them prepared. As we get into the late junior year, senior year, they'll start making their college guidance lists. They'll start working on their essays, and they'll work on applications, and they'll meet with you parents as well to kind of navigate through that list and what's realistic, and you know, maybe even introduce some new options for you out there that you may not be aware of. There are more than just 40 colleges in the country, and our college guide department does a really, really good job of kind of opening the doors to those and letting you see some other options that may be a really good suit for your child. Amongst some of the stats from our college guidance department that they're really proud of, 100% of our graduating seniors will have anywhere from 4 to 8 choices in colleges. Between 90 and 95%, depending on the given year, will attend the top 10% of the schools in the country. So again, another experience at Webb that you'll be able to take full advantage of, along with all of the other things. It's been a great pleasure of mine tonight to take this time and sit with you and chat and kind of give you a quick overview of what Webb's all about. As we move forward, definitely feel free to reach out to our counselors in the admission office. We're here to help you. We're here to work with you. We're here to explain and educate you on what Webb's all about and why we think it's so great and why we love coming to work every day, and why we look forward to meeting your students and getting to know them in the best way possible and making sure that, you know, Webb is a right place for them. So next up, we have a chat with our parents. You're going to get firsthand knowledge of what they're doing, how they did it, why they did it, and it's not just us telling you about it. So we believe in that community. We believe in having our people's voices heard, and word of mouth is the best award for us to share with you. So without further ado, thank you very much for sharing this time with me. And here's a word from our sponsors.
All right, so we are back with our wonderful parent panel. I'm so excited to have all of our parents here to talk with you about their web experiences. So I think we'll start, yes, wait. I think we'll start if everyone could go around and maybe just at first give obviously your name, your student's name, maybe where you're located, what city or state, and then boarding or day. And then I think that would be a nice introduction. Great, so why don't we start with the Beckers?
Hi, I'm Melissa Becker, and this is my husband, John. We have Jonathan, who graduated last year, and Sydney's a freshman. We live in Laverne, so she's a day student, and Jonathan was a day student also.
Great. And then Peter and Alma?
Good evening. We're the Graphs. I'm John. This is my wife, Alma Marie. We're coming to you from the Chicagoland area. We have a son, Peter. He's a senior and a boarding student.
Excellent. And Lily Chen?
Hi, this is Lily Chen. I'm actually in Shanghai right now. It's a daytime, beginning of work time for us. My son is Eugene Guo, and he's 11 junior in Webb.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. And why don't we start? I mean, I think a burning question probably for all of our parents, our prospective parents, is why did you choose Webb? And so maybe kind of talk to our prospective parents about that choice and maybe how you discovered Webb and then what made you decide to send your son and daughters here. Whoever wants to start.
So for us, we knew a lot about Webb because we're right down the street, and we have a lot of friends who've been Webb community members for a long time, and they seem very happy. You know, academics is always the biggest thing, right? That's what we look at. But for me, I wanted more. I wanted the community. I wanted athletics, afternoon activities, things to really bond the kids. And I also like the fact that we're part boarding and part day. I think it gives give the kids a chance to learn about different cultures and make new friends. And you know, we also have a really strong parent community, and that's very important. I've been a room mom forever and ever, so it was nice to come in as a freshman with Jonathan's class as a parent class rep, and then I've been on the board for 4 years, and it's all around. It's a great community, and we really wanted to be a part of that, and we're doing it all over again with our freshmen.
Oh, that's exciting. Thank you. Okay. Let's see, Lily, do you want to share that about why you decided Webb?
Yeah, I went for college in Pomona. Claremont is very close by, and so Claremont is a city that I always, go and have group meetings there and all that. And so, and also when we were selecting high school for Eugene to come back to the U.S., closing to home is one of the factors that we consider the most. We have a house in Rosemead. It's my parents' house. So Webb is about like 30 minutes away from my house. And given that I like Claremont a lot, and also Webb is actually very close to the universities. So this is the school that is actually the most ideal school for us.
Yeah, great. Excellent. And then John and Alma.
Go ahead, Alma.
Well, we had a very unique student, and I'm a visual person, so I pulled out a picture here to show everyone.
How cute, he looks the same.
Yeah. And that's Peter on his very first dig when he was spelt 2. And so he's been passionate about paleontology since he was a little bitty guy. And, we've gone on such a journey with that. So for us, when we started looking for a high school, it was looking for the perfect fit, looking for a school as unique as Peter was unique. Yeah. And we were blessed to find Webb, which we feel is very unique and just perfect fit for Peter. So it was an easy process for us in regards to deciding if this would be a good fit. We knew it would be a good fit, and Peter definitely has decided for us that it was a perfect fit.
Yeah. And then you also did the summer program too, so I'm sure that was a
He
nice.
did do the summer program. Funny that you mention it, another visual. And he loved it. And it was kind of funny because when he did the summer program, we decided to do vacation around the area because we didn't think that he would be comfortable. And we wanted to make sure in case we needed to come and sit down and snatch him out, we were there. And we kept texting him and we kept asking him, are you okay? And every communication got shorter and shorter for us. To the point where we finally said, hey, would you be interested in this school? He said, yeah. Our eyes got big. So, but it was wonderful. He had a wonderful time in the summer program. He learned an awful lot and he made a lot of friends. And surprisingly, some of those people came on board and they're students also. And he's still friends with them. So you make connections. And that means a lot for us, especially with us being such a distance away. As John was saying, we're here in Illinois. We're quite a distance away. So we'll talk about all that independence in just a moment.
And then another probably burning question for all of our prospective parents is, you know, how have you seen your students grow at Webb?
Well, because we are so far away, he's had to be self-reliant, very resilient, and very independent. And as they were saying earlier, the laundry, speaking up for yourself, being able to have conversations, you know, without mom and dad being involved with you talking to your teachers. And that was a little hard for him before in grade school. But he's done it exceptionally well. He's formed friendships with his teachers and professors, and he's really enjoyed the experience. He's really surprised us. Wouldn't you say, John?
Yeah, and I would say that I think he's always been intellectually curious. So Webb's a great place for him to try, you know, exposure to many different academic concepts. And I think probably the number one thing I would say about him, he's really become a confident person. You know, he's always had that curiosity, but I think he's become really confident, engaging in whatever the subject matter is. So that's one of the things I would highlight.
And I would say he's always been empathetic. So he's always been concerned about those around him. But to see him step up, and I don't want to, I guess the best way for me to describe it is to become a big brother, to look out for others, to care about others, to make sure that you're not just achieving, but you're making sure others are also having their successes as well. And that if you can help or guide in any way, to see him step up and do that is pretty great because he's an only child. So he didn't have those experiences at home. So to see him have those experiences with other kids and to forge lifelong friendships that I believe, it's just been very rewarding.
Yeah, the confidence is true. I think I see all of your children on campus and they're all very confident. So, John and Melissa, maybe some comments about how you've seen your children grow at Webb.
I think so. Any school in the class of Webb, any prep school on this level is going to give good academics. Like academics is a given, and I know that initially everybody worries about academics and is this the perfect academic school? And academically, Webb is fantastic. I think the most important thing with Webb is the emphasis. Webb lives its mission statement, which a lot of schools don't. They'll have this altruistic, great sounding mission statement, and then all they focus on is academics. Webb lives their mission statement. They care about unbounded thinking. They put the kids in leadership positions. Your kid is going to constantly be challenged to speak for themselves, to learn to argue respectfully, to have hard discussions, to learn to think independently, and also learn to think about other people and their role in the greater community. And our son ended up being on the honor committee and then ultimately ended up being the chairman of the honor, co-chair of the honor committee, which was a fantastic opportunity for him to learn what it's like to be responsible for other people. And I think that, if I said anything about Webb, somebody said, what's the one thing you would say about Webb? The one thing I would say is Webb makes good people who are academically, way above their peers, but it makes good people that are confident, that can speak for themselves, that you know, are articulate, that care about other people. It is just, there's so much emphasis at Webb on character development that I think that is one of its primary differentiators between other schools. And it had a profound effect on our son. And you know, I mean, we just put our daughter in as a freshman, so that's about the best boat I can possibly get.
It is. Great. And Lily?
Yeah, actually from the mom's perspective, you know, in the past 2 years, he has grown a lot. He's more independent. A lot of times when I talk to him, he's like, Mom, I know, you know, don't bother me. You know, I know how to make decisions myself. So he's becoming very independent. So besides academics, I agree with John, and he's very studying hard to kind of, you know, I think the peer pressure is also part of it, right? So I don't need to kind of push him to study hard. He's gonna do it. He's doing it himself. And then also the laundries. You know, in Shanghai, he never really have to do his laundries. We have nanny at home, so he's becoming, you know, very independent, no matter for academic and also for everyday life. So that's from a mom's perspective. And then, you know, interestingly, we had a conversation just last week. I asked him, I said, you know, what do you see yourself from, you know, transferring from international school back to the state in these 2 years? And then he said, well, Mom, you make a 100% correct decision sending me back to the state. So in Webb, he has a chance to, you know, have friends from China, from Shanghai, from Japan, from Singapore, and also he also has friends locally. So then, you know, he's all meld in with friends, like, you know, at this time of, you know, of the year with the pandemic. He still have, you know, he's actually in the States right now. So he told me that he's going to have play basketball with his friends, you know, the local friends. And then in Webb, he also explored that he, for sports, he really in love with basketball. In China, we try to kind of have him experience all different kinds of sports, but he never really found himself interested in it. But you know, after you know, studying Webb, he found himself in love with basketball. And then he also told me that, you know, Mom, you know, the American education for us, you know, to be a leader and, you know, to do charities and in love of sports, it's actually teaching me how to be a good person. And taking the challenges. So I think that this is something that I see from him that, you know, have changed in the past 2 years.
It's wonderful. Wow. And then I'm sure, again, on all of our prospective parents' mind is like advice, right? You've all been through not only the application process, but then also advice if a student is maybe studying far away or just going into high school. So what advice would you give our prospective parents right now?
I'll go. I think the most important thing is to make sure that your child is comfortable with the school. Look at every component of the school. Don't just make it, you know, I want you to go to Webb. Make it, do you want to go to Webb and why? It's you know, it's lovely to say my child goes to Webb, but if they're not happy and doing well, what's the point? So I'd say definitely make sure that they like the school they want to go. And they also consider the commitment. It is a big commitment. Whether they like it or not, it's a commitment.
Great. Okay. Either John and Alma or Lily?
I think it's important for the students to be able to follow their passion. If that passion is to lead them to the Webb schools, so be it. If the passion is to lead them somewhere else, so be it. But the student needs to really embrace where they're going to spend their next 4 years. It's a huge developmental space. And there's got to be, as she was saying, some partnership. But what I've found at Webb that parents need to look at when you're looking at these schools, make sure you step out and you talk to the administrators, the teachers, even the people that work in the cafeteria. I mean, we kind of made the beehive. We talked to everybody off the beaten path. And it's funny that those relationships that we forged with stepping off the beaten path are 4 years later relationships that we still have with everyone. And to me, that's really important because he may need to have a button sewn on. He may need to be dropped off back over at Target to pick up his wallet. There's so many different things that occur in the 4 years of experiences that he's going to be forging relationships, and to make sure that there's going to be people there that's going to be like surrogate parents. Because when we were touring some of the different schools, I remember Peter saying some of the schools didn't have a soul. The vibe didn't feel right. Mm-hmm. So it's very important to know and to get kind of connected to and talk to the people that's going to be involved in your son's life for the next 4 years. For us, we found it to be a wonderful experience here at Webb. We couldn't think of a better experience than what we've experienced. People who truly care, and they take your child under their wing and they become a step in for you. That's what we were looking for. When you say, John?
Yep.
Yeah.
Great, wonderful. And then Lily?
Yeah, I agree that you talk to as many as people as you can, right? So get to know the school, the parents, the teachers. I think this is a good way to understand where your child, studying it. And also, I think psychological support is also important because, when he's first go back to the States, everything for him is kind of new and challenging, right? So all I focus on is psychological support, actually, to be honest. Mm-hmm. So to understand how has been any challenge that he's facing. So I talk to him actually basically every day. So in the morning when I go back to work, on the hour that I'm staying in the car, we try to talk for 15 to 20 minutes. And then on weekends, we normally talk for 3 hours sometimes. So I want to make sure that he communicate with me and make sure that I understand what he's thinking. I think that's most important for teenagers, and also teenagers staying, outside of my control. Yeah, that's about it.
That's wonderful. So this is not the last time you're going to get an opportunity to ask our wonderful parents questions. They're going to be around in our Q&A. And thank you for your wonderful insights into the Webb experience and sharing your stories. Now, we also have a message from our current students of advice for prospective Webb students. So.
My one piece of advice would be to let your student pave their own path. Your student is entering into their high school career, beginning their journey as a young adult. And as a young adult, your student will be exposed to an endless list of opportunities.
I like to think of Webb as sort of a testing ground for a kid's adulthood. And I think that trusting them and just letting them be themselves is very important for not only their adulthood, but also for Webb to really work its magic.
The kids are always supported 100% by the Webb community, so no parent will have to worry about their child's well-being. Letting go a little bit will allow your child to develop independence and find their own footing all at the school, and this will all be incredibly beneficial to them in the future.
First, I'm going to start with having difficult conversations with adults. Savannah has grown in the area of self-advocacy. She has had challenging academic conversations with her teachers with the comfort of knowing that the adults at Webb, which include teachers, administrators, advisors, and even coaches, are there to support her and have her best interests at heart. I have also seen Savannah grow and gain new perspectives from her peers. along with the new respect for the differences that make the Webb community unique.
Great. They're so adorable. I hope that was helpful. I know they enjoyed making the video and sharing those highlights. So I want to take some time now to talk a little bit about our admission and financial aid process, and give you a little bit of insight to applying for this year. So we know we have people, parents on the call that maybe are considering applying for this year or the following year. And we want to just give you kind of that framework to think about the application process. So if you haven't already done so, one thing I'd absolutely encourage you to do is complete our inquiry form. That will allow us to stay in communication with you throughout the upcoming months to give you information on any application steps or events that we may have. And so it keeps you really connected to our office. So you definitely want to do that. And then we also have a website that has our application steps. And so it's very easy to follow. This year, given COVID and given the pandemic, we are scheduling online interviews. And so that portal is open for you to start scheduling interviews. When I say portal, I mean you can email us and we can start scheduling those interviews now. And the interview is suggested, not required, but January 15th is our application deadline. It's also our deadline for interviews. And so you can start scheduling those now. And the interview is a really, we hope, fun process for students and for families. And so we try not to make it stressful. You met the wonderful admission team. It'll be with one of us. And we really just take the time to get to know students. We usually spend 25 or so minutes with the student, really asking questions about, who they are, what they believe in, their interests, why they are interested in going to Webb. And then we also have an optional portion for parents where you can come on the call or the Zoom call and we can chat about any personal questions you have, any questions you have about the application process, or just really have an informal conversation about your child. So it's a really, we hope, fun process. Also, part of the application is completing, obviously, the actual application. I'll talk a little bit more about that. We also, for international students, I think Sarah put a link in the chat, but we also require language assessment. So either TOEFL, IELTS, or Duolingo. And so if you're an international student studying abroad, we will require that language assessment. And then the next slide. Great. So given the uncertainty of this year, one of the things that I, as an admission director, I think is very important to convey is that we know this is not the traditional year, and there's some uncertainty about schooling and distance learning, recommendation letters, involvements in extracurricular activities, and we know this is not a typical year. And so given that, our admission committee is really going to still have a very holistic view and really view each application within context. We understand that sometimes students aren't going to be able to be as involved as they were in certain activities, right? They may have a little bit of distance between themselves and their teachers, just given the format of online learning right now and how that is different by school. And so all of that context is really going to be considered within our admission committee for this year. We're going to put a lot of care dedication into reading applicants, really thinking, again, like we always do, about our mission and how students fit our mission. And given all of the holistic things that we look at. So character is very important, the type of student that wants to be in a good community, how they talk about their values, all of those things are really important to our admission process. One practical switch that we've made this year is also that we have suspended our testing requirements for the upcoming year. So given the availability of testing through COVID, we're not going to require any students to submit any SSAT or IC scores. And again, there's no advantage for submitting scores, so we're really test blind, it's not test optional. So again, we hope to relieve some pressure through the cycle given the pandemic. And so please be aware that you do not have to submit any testing for this upcoming school year. Great. And then this is the Gateway to application. We are a member school of about 6 of the Gateway to Prep, which is a common application. So there's about 65 boarding schools that use this common application. We hope this is a very easy process for families. And so this is on our website, but also you can go to Gateway to Prep Schools and you can start a candidate profile. So the great thing is that the application is not due to January 15th, but you have plenty of time to start the application. There's a candidate profile you can start, and that just gives basic demographic information. We also have some short answers. We don't have a typical essay that many schools have. We have 10 short answers that, again, really we hope to get a really good glimpse of a student's personality, what they value. We ask some really fun, we hope, questions about, what do they like about themselves, and what would they like to improve on. We ask the question of how they spend their summer, and so we try to kind of get a sense of the student through those questions. We also have a parent statement, a couple of questions that we ask about your goals for your child. So in terms of your academic goals, your social goals, any concerns you have, things that as a parent you really want to share with the admission committee for us to really get to know your student a little bit better. We also require recommendation letters from an English teacher and also a math teacher. And again, these really help us to get a sense in the classroom for a student and how they advance the conversation in the class. We really are looking also for obviously academic performance, but also academic potential, right? How students really work in a classroom, how do they advance their ideas, how do they relate to their teacher. Those are really important things. How do they advance the conversation in the classroom? And we understand as an admission committee, and our admission committee is made up of not only our admission team and our counselors, but also faculty members. And so again, when we're reading applications, we're really trying to think about how do we build the best class for Webb? Every year we bring in about 100 students from all over the country and all over the world, and we're really trying to build this incredible dynamic community. And so we're really trying to get a sense of two things. One, what type of student will they be in our labs, in our classrooms, and how will they be a part of the community? So we have a lot of admission conversations and a lot of conversations in our committee talking about how the student would take advantage of opportunities and how Webb could help best prepare them. We also require a counselor and principal recommendation. So for a small school, sometimes it's a principal, and a larger school typically is a counselor. And this just gives us an opportunity to get to know the school very well. For example, for this year, we had 871 applications, and we netted about 18% of our applicant pool. And we enrolled this year 120 new students from about 87 different middle schools. And so although we can't visit every middle school, the counselor and principal letter really gives us context into the curriculum at the school, so we can really review the student in the context of their environment, which is really important. And through that counselor and principal recommendation, we'll also require transcripts. And the great thing about the Gateway application is that you don't have to chase recommendation letters down. You create a profile and create an application, put in email addresses for all of your recommenders, and then the system will send reminders too. And so it's a really easy process a lot of schools are familiar with. And again, our deadline is January 15th, and then March 10th is when we release admission decisions. So financial aid, we definitely do not want finances to be a barrier to attending Webb. And so we have a very generous financial aid program. Last year, we awarded $5.6 million in financial aid, and about 36% of our students receive aid. We have a separate financial aid committee that we have a admission committee, like I mentioned, also a financial aid committee. And so we're really thoughtful on how we make those decisions, and you'll see our average boarding award and average day award as well. The application is going to be available October 2nd, and then January 15th is the deadline. So I would advise you, as you think about applying to Webb, thinking about also applying financially around the same time, right? And so that way you're doing both of those applications. We go through a third-party vendor through the National Association of Independent Schools called Solutions by SSSS. So they help do some of the data analysis for us and then bring that data back to our financial aid committee to make professional judgments and decisions on award. So we don't have a merit aid program, we have a need-based aid, and so all is based on your income, ability to pay, and your personal, your statement. And so these are the steps for you to make an account. And we have it all, this all detailed also on our financial aid website. Mr. Stoggo, who we met in the Google Classroom, also runs our financial aid program, and he's great working individually with families too. And so we'll talk a little bit, if you have really specific questions about financial aid, we'll get those answered as well. So I think that was a very quick overview of our admission process, and I want to bring back now our wonderful parents, and we're going to start a Q&A. And so the Q&A tonight, or today, is all about anything you want to ask. So it could be about the admission process, it could be about programs, it could be about the parent experience, their experience with their children at Webb. So really this is your time to ask any questions that you have of the admission office or our current parents.
All right, so I'm going to kick things off here with some questions that we already have. So one that came in from the chat that is for all of our parent panelists here is, what made you choose Webb over other schools?
Oh, no. I think for us, it was everybody we talked to at Webb. You know, I run an organization. I look at the way organizations are run. And the thing that always impressed me in every interaction we had with Webb, whether it was going to, you know, a new student visit day or seeing somebody from Webb speak, is the words that came out of Mr. Stockdale's mouth were the words that came out of Hector Martinez's mouth, were the words that came out of Leo Marshall's mouth. Throughout the organization, we saw a consistency and a focus on more than just academics, a focus on responsibility for the kids. And I think that having no experience with boarding schools prior to Webb, what we didn't understand was, unlike a day school where your kids go home every day, at Webb, 75 to 80% of the kids are there all the time. And the faculty are responsible for the kids. And so they are emotionally invested in the kids. They know the kids, they know them all by name. They talk to them about things they like. Every interaction we had with the school showed that consistency and authenticity, which really impressed us.
We also didn't look anywhere else. We knew Webb was a school for us. So to be honest, we didn't look. I mean, we looked, but we really didn't look.
Well, we actually did look at several schools because we were trying to keep them at home. So the process was very challenging for us because we met a lot of great people and saw a lot of great schools, and saw a lot of wonderful opportunities that could have and possibilities. Mm-hmm. But the number one thing that kept bringing it back to Webb was the opportunity for Peter and the road that he was on. Like I said, once again, it was very unique. Mm-hmm. And there's some things that you guys offer that, you know, no one else offers for mm-hmm. us. But the most important thing was the sincerity. Mm-hmm. And like I said, the key thing that we looked for was, who's going to invest in Peter when we're not there? Who's going to step up and be with him when we're not able to be with him? Mm-hmm. And that's very important. And I don't know if you want to add anything, John.
I would just add from the previous segment, I think it's about the fit for the child. As much as the parent may like the school and all the vibes that you're getting, I think it really, for us, it boiled down to, it was the right fit for Peter. And he knew it. And it didn't matter what we thought. You know, we reinforced his decision that it was right for him, but ultimately it boiled down to, it was the right fit for Peter after he explored all, you know, the options that he had available to him. And I think that was the number one thing.
Yeah. It was very uncomfortable to make phone calls because I had promised him somewhere else. And that was a very uncomfortable phone call. But I couldn't be happier for Peter. I really couldn't. And for us, the experience has been wonderful. I can't believe it's coming to the end of the road as students and parents actively, but and we'll slide into another row. But it's been wonderful.
Lily, do you want to answer that too? Or
yeah, we did visited almost all the private schools in LA, because LA was the only choice for us for location-wise. You know, the moment that we stepped in to Webb's campus, we knew that this is the right school, and you know, it's the good fit is the word, right? So so the museum, the school amenities, the pools and tennis courts and everything. So we feel that we have everything that is ready for Eugene, and also when we talk to the faculty or the tour guy, actually I forgot who he was, but he was extremely nice, and very ready to answer all the questions that we had. So we felt the welcome, and also plus the nice campus and everything. So after the tour, Daddy always said, that's it, that's the one.
All right, great. So this next question is for Dr. Everett. So in reference to the SSAT and ICE, some parents are wondering if this is completely optional or if it's just not being considered altogether. And then as well, if a student has already taken their testing, is that something they could submit?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we really had some really good internal conversations with the board and our senior team. And we really don't want students to feel under pressure this year. So we are really going test blind. So what that means is that we aren't considering tests. So I would say that not to submit any additional tests that you may have taken like last year or the year before. We really understand that this is a delicate time and you have lots of other pressures, and some students are still in distance learning, of course, and we have lots of other ways to measure your fit for Webb than just a test. And so I would encourage you not to submit those scores. Again, we are for this year going completely test blind and not requiring tests at all.
All right, so another question also for Dr. Everett. For financial aid awards, are they reevaluated each year, or is your package guaranteed for all 4 years?
That's a great question. So no, the financial aid committee actually does reevaluate your financial aid award every year. We know that in some families, some circumstances may change, of course. And so we want to reevaluate that every year in terms of your package. So every year you will get information about reapplying for aid and then get issued in the new contract from Webb if there's any changes in your circumstances. So yes.
All right, so this one is kind of actually directed towards John and Alma Maria. We have another person from Illinois in our audience, so they wanted to give you a little shout out. And then they wanted to know how that transition went for you, having your son come here to California, and how the Webb community welcomed him here. And I think that that could go for all parents as well.
Let me take that one.
Yeah, you can take part of it.
So yeah, I think there's definitely an adjustment period to the logistics of the traveling and getting used to the cadence of getting there in August and the short breaks and the parent visit weekends. And, the first year, I think that, it takes some getting used to that. The other thing is, trusting the community there and the support that Webb provided on the travel. They really look after the kids and making sure that their schedules are set, they're picked up, they track them the whole way. And so, yeah, we've gotten used to the Midway shuffle. We take him to Midway on Southwest Airlines. He ends up going into Ontario Airport. The Webb shuttles pick him up. He arranges the drop off. We got him the TSA pre-check. And now, 3 years later, it's like no big deal. So there is an adjustment period, but once you get used to it, it works really well. And Webb is very supportive in making sure that all the support is there to make sure that everything goes smoothly.
And don't forget too, Webb was really integral in creating a buddy system too. So just be aware that they are aware your child will be traveling, and more than likely, they will be buddied up with another student who's already going in that direction. So for us, we were very fortunate to have another Illinois student that was ahead of Peter in a grade that kind of looked out and kind of helped support. And that means everything. But they do assist in trying to coordinate those things as best as possible.
All right, so that same parent actually has another question for Dr. Everett. So for his student, they're interested in the arts. So is there any specific and special opportunities that students who are interested in art have, especially considering that we're so close to LA?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I think we have a really great arts program and fine arts and digital arts and media theater program. So I think for a boarding student or a student, being an art student is incredible. We also have we have something called Unbounded programs that we didn't talk as much about. And they really give opportunities for students to like work with artists and go to museums and do independent study. So I do think being so close to Los Angeles, I think our faculty, we have a director of experimental learning at Webb, Dr. Susie Lindsay, who's amazing. And her main job is to actually work with faculty members like for all of our disciplines and look into how the faculty can connect what students are doing in the class to like real world experiences with maybe art museums or theater, right? And so there's a lot of opportunities for students to take advantage of those things.
Okay, great. So next question for all the parents. How is your students' experience with the single gender system in the first 2 years at school?
The best part of the school.
Yeah.
I mean, my son came from co-ed. My daughter's coming from a co-ed environment. That first 2 years is so fundamental to their transition into adulthood that the single-sex classes take a lot of the pressure out of the school for the kids, so that it's not, you know, every day I've got to look good and it's all about girls. And it's really that first 2 years is focusing on kind of the same-sex fraternity and friendships, and it kind of takes the competitiveness out of freshman and sophomore year, at least for the boys. We'll see with the girl, but our friends that had daughters, we saw the same thing. It's a really fantastic idea that helps them make the transition. And by the time they get to junior year, they know the girls, they see them on campus, they have conversations. There are classes that are co-ed classes, but that it's kind of a gradual transition into adulthood instead of being launched out of a cannon into, you know, boys and girls in puberty hanging out together.
Mm-hmm. I personally just enjoy it just on an aspect of you don't have to be as focused on that as a part of your academic life. And what I mean by that is he can focus on his studies. He can spend time with his same gender friends and develop really close relationships. But also too, you don't have to focus on being in a hurry and being involved in things that you don't need to be involved in. I love the fact that on campus, there's a lot of eyes and there's a lot of monitoring. And like I said, when we looked at so many different schools, we were kind of shocked at how much access the different sexes had to one another, even going into the dorm rooms and so forth. And I really like the fact that those things don't really exist on Webb. For me, being a parent such a distance away, not being able to monitor and be a part of that decision-making process and being able to talk to my student on a daily basis about things like that, it's really important to me to know that I can relax a little bit and take a deep breath and not have to worry about some of those pressures. So for me, I think it was a perfect environment for us.
I would just add that I would say, you know, Webb has refined this model over a long period of time. It's been really successful. And I think what we learned is just trust the process. It's there for a reason. It's been proven, it's been refined. Yeah. And I think over time, we really just felt like we just trusted the process and embraced it. And it worked really well. And I think it took a lot of pressure off of Peter just to be able to focus on his studies and not worry about those other aspects of life at that time. So.
And don't be surprised for some of the parents that are not in California, you're long distance. There are going to be a lot of parents that step up. They won't even know your name, but they'll know that your student is out of town, and they'll step up and volunteer to step into your place. I had so many parents walk up to me. I didn't know their names. They introduced themselves to me, and they said, hey, if your kid need a place to stay on the weekend, if they need us to run errands for them, if they need us to step in any way, we'll do it. And the parents stay with that commitment. I can't tell you how many people email me or call me just to let me know how he's doing. That's parents, that's administrators, as well as teachers. I've gotten so many photos. So I still feel a part of it and connected because they reached out to do that. It means everything. So don't worry, they'll be reaching out.
Yeah, Eugene just finished his first 2 years, right? So, actually, when we were selecting the school, he said that, I don't want any pure boys school. And then, so we were like, okay, but then we don't want to have a mix of girls and boys when, at a very young age, when parents are not there, right? So I think the transition, with the 2 years, purely boys or girls, and then they can be, in a mixed class. It's a very good system to prepare them, to prep them, to understand, the differences, or how they see the relationship with the girls and stuff like that. So I always tell him that you always have time to prepare for your prom. So so you can take the rest of 2 years to see who's the best girl that you can ask for to go to the prom. So so at first he complained to me and said, well, Mom, we went to the bar, with all boys. I said, well, that's great. You will never have that chance in the rest of your life, probably. So I think that is a great, especially for us, because parents are not there with him. So, it preps him.
Great. So this next question, I feel like, would be perfect for John and Melissa Becker, as you guys are day school parents. So do you feel like your students have missed out on any critical experience compared to boarding students?
I realize that it seems like a big distinction between day student and boarding student. And we had friends that told us it's not as big a distinction as you think it is. I can tell you that although our son never slept there, that was pretty much it. He was there late every night. He was going on runs with boarding students. And a run is where they'll take a Webb van and say, oh, we're going to go to Target. And he'd say, oh, I'm going to Webb. Well, why are you going to Webb? I'm going to go on a Target run. You go to Target all the time. It's down the street. No, but my friends are going. So there is the distinction between the two, I think, is bigger in our minds than it is in their minds. And we never really saw much of a difference in the way, not only in the way the students were treated, but the way that they saw themselves was not, there wasn't this like day student, I don't know, stigma or like, oh, well, only the boarding students talk about that. I think for Webb, the faculty and staff see the kids as their kids, regardless of where they sleep.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that. So our last question is going to Dr. Everett. So because the SSAT and ICE are not being encouraged, what will be in place for everyone to look at for academics? How are you going to evaluate that?
No, that's a wonderful question. There's so many things that we do to evaluate an application, and test scores has only been one small part of that evaluation. So, we look really at trends in academic grades. We look at your teacher recommendations. We look at your school profile and the types of classes you've taken. Again, we're going to look at your essays, your interview. We're going to look at that holistic part of your application. And you'll notice in the media, a lot of colleges and universities are also this year moving to that model, right? And so we're in this wonderful opportunity to create like new models of evaluation that aren't as dependent on test scores. So we're really excited about that. And a lot of it, when we do make our admission decisions, say pre-COVID, right? A lot of that did not come down to test scores, right? That was one tiny part of the application. And as all the parents talked about, and Mr. Stockdale and Mr. Stodgel, when he talked about all the activities, it is about that community fit, right? It is about that. And we're trying to really evaluate that. And so I always say that admissions is more an art than a science, right? And if we really just had to take all of the top test scores and cut that off and just accept the students that had high testing, we wouldn't have a class, right? And so what we really want to do is really find out like what kind of person you are, how are you going to contribute to the classroom. Those are really important things as we're building a class that you're going to be excited to be around. And so we're excited about kind of diving into that this year and really building a class based on not just testing. So we're really excited about that. And again, we'll have lots of ongoing conversations about this. Again, I hope all the parents enjoyed our time together. I want to thank all of our parent panelists for your time and wonderful words of inspiration to our prospective families. What we're going to wrap up now, but again, we're beginning a conversation. Please email the admission team, myself, any of the admission counselors, if you have additional questions. I really want to thank everyone for their time coming and listening to more about the Webb experience. And so we'll have lots of events for you throughout the fall. So again, we'll check your email for those events and our website. But it was really a pleasure spending time with you. I want to thank you for everyone for participating, and have a good rest of your evening or day.